Over the past couple of years, as you know, we have been going through a pandemic, so definitely we have been dealing with a situation that was unusual for all of us. And we have ensured that we are providing to our hotels the right support, first to go through the pandemic, protecting both our guests and our colleagues, as well as ensuring that post the COVID situation, we were giving the right commercial support to our hotels to bounce back after the crisis and being able to develop their business to new levels, developing new business mix and developing new strategies. There has been lots of signing indeed for IHG Hotels and Resorts. Over the past 2 years, even during the pandemic, what we kept on doing is developing the network throughout the countries where we operate. We have been in the Kingdom of Saudi since 1975 with the Intercontinental in Riyadh, and since then we've kept on developing our hotels. We are running right now 38 properties within the kingdom, and we have already signed over 20 more. I have got 16 hotels in pre-opening. So it's really a big growth taking place. When you're looking at the growth, we are looking first at the mid-scale properties. So when we are talking about Holiday Inn Express, which are the most famous brands in the world, the most recognized brands in the world, we have 3 openings which are planned. One, Holiday Inn Al Khobar, King Fahd Road, Holiday Inn in Riyadh, which business district, Holiday Inn in Jeddah, King Abdullah Road. So all those hotels will be coming as part of the network next year, showing the strength in the mid-scale, in brands which are already very well established. When you are talking about Intercontinental hotels, which I mentioned before has been there since 1975, we also are opening some new Intercontinentals because there is a growing demand. You're talking, for instance, about 2 signings that have been done recently, Intercontinental in Dammam, so on the East Coast, and Intercontinental King Fahd Road in Riyadh, showing the potential to keep on developing further luxury properties in the kingdom. We also have signed, as part of our luxury estate, 6 Senses that has been signed in Amala, and many more luxury properties which are going to join the network. Those are about mid-scale and luxury. But let's not forget as well the new segments which we are bringing to the kingdom, corresponding to not only the new domestic clientele, but also the international clientele, what we call the lifestyle brand, where we have signed already an Indigo, Hotel Indigo, where the first one opened in Dubai in October 2020, and we have just signed the first one in KSA that will open in Riyadh by 2023. So definitely this brand is coming strongly in the market, and you have 2 other brands that we are bringing in terms of lifestyle, which are Even, which is a mid-scale brand dedicated to fitness, and Kimpton, which is a luxury lifestyle brand, where if everything goes well, the first signature should come very soon in the kingdom. Also, what we have developed during the pandemic, it's a new collection brand called Vignette Collection. This was just launched a few weeks ago, which is a collection brand for luxury properties, so-called Vignette. And this brand will enable independent owners. We have realized during the COVID situation that it's always better to be supported by an international network and a very strong distribution system with a very large loyalty program to join IHG for properties which are offering a unique experience within the kingdom. So another opportunity there to develop. Our approach to the safety standards has been driven first of all by the international and local rules that have been set up by the different health authorities. For us, the policy is really around 4 angles. The first angle is the clean promise, what we call the clean promise, which is actually ensuring that throughout the stay of the guest, the different touch points have been handled and are safe for our guests when they stay with us. So that's the first point. So making sure it happens on the ground, making sure we have the right product, the right people, the right cleaning done throughout the stay of the guest. The second element is really the communication to the guest, because you need to make sure that not only you do it, but you explain to our guests why we do it, for their safety, what is being done exactly, and why it's keeping them safer. So the communication is really the second very strong element. The third element is really the technology element, where we have been developing further elements through our application. So we are not only talking about QR code for the menus, which are not very familiar to everybody, but we are talking talking as well about deploying check-in, check-out facilities, room service available throughout the app as well. So reinforcing the IHG app for loyal customers to be really able to benefit from all those services throughout the world. And last but not least, definitely it's investing in our colleagues, making sure we are providing them with not only the right equipment, the famous PPE, but also that we are providing them with the right training and certification for them as well to be kept safe, because that's where the safety starts with, is safety of our colleagues, ensuring they can deliver the right level of service. The energy that has been given through the government of KSA to the Vision 2030 is phenomenal. It's bringing lots of changes to the market and ensuring that it's giving opportunity for people to discover this market. At IHG Hotel and Resort, we are making sure we are supporting those initiatives. So, for instance, you remember maybe that end of 2019, over 49 countries have been opened for free visa on arrival, which was shut down during COVID and reopened a couple of months ago. So it means that we need to make sure we are supporting the destination in being visible in those 49 countries, and that's what we do through our hotels and through participation to campaign with STA, the Saudi tourism authorities, in order to support the visibility of the country in the different market. And when we're talking about the visibility of the country, is not only about talking about KSA, but explaining KSA to the people, because the diversity of the offering you can find in KSA is significant. It's not only the spiritual tourism. You have spiritual tourism. You have what we call the Maldives of Saudi, which are Umluj, Al-Waj on the west coast. You have the mountains. You have the historical sites like Alula. You have many different sites, and it's the only country in the whole Middle East that can offer such a diversity. So we are making sure that we are supporting not only opening hotels in those destinations to support the possibility for international tourists to visit those destinations, but we're also ensuring that we participate to international campaign. For instance, right now we are developing an international campaign with STA in order to work on the winter season. It's still very warm during the winter season, so you're more than welcome to visit, and I hope you will. And for instance, when you're talking about new market, going away from the traditional feeder markets that were, for instance, Turkey, Pakistan, Indonesia. Now there are some strong efforts to go to new markets. Let's just mention China, for instance, which is a market where there is lots of investment being done. That could be the new tourism wave for tomorrow. Last summer, what we have seen at the IHG Hotels and Resorts is really that most of the summer was still split, let's say, into two kind of businesses. You still had some isolation business at the time related to the pandemic, and you had lots of domestic tourism, especially on the eastern provinces, where the hotels in Al Jubail, Al Khobar, where we have intercontinental properties, or intercontinental Al Assa as well, have been doing extremely well during the summer. So giving the opportunity for local clientele, so Saudis, to rediscover their countries, because believe it or not, many Saudis have not really fully discovered their countries and are traveling with lots of limitations within the kingdom. So being given this opportunity to visit additional destinations, they rediscover their countries, and it created a new appetite to go to other destinations such as Aba, Taif, Umluj that I mentioned before. So there is really a bounce of tourism, which we saw during this summer, where the business during the summer continued to increase, especially with domestic tourism. So this has been very, very strongly seen, but also thanks to the large clientele that you have in the kingdom, because you're talking about a country with 35 million inhabitants. So basically you're talking about lots of domestic opportunities. So we have really two splits. We have some hotels like on the west and east coast or in the mountains that have benefited from domestic tourism, and you have hotels like, for instance, in Jeddah or in Riyadh, especially in Riyadh, where we have seen occupancies going up beyond the 70%, just with mostly local business, because the international business was still limited up to a few weeks ago, which really led to some impressive events and occupancies that we are not expecting originally, but showing the strength of the market without much dependence on the international tourism. What we have seen so far within our IHG hotels and resorts in KSA is that, yes, you still have some limitation due to pandemic in terms of number of people that can be welcomed, the kind of shapes of the different events that we can organize. So there are still limitations, definitely, but you see a bounce back of the MICE industry. For instance, in our flagship Crown Plaza in Riyadh, which is a Crown Plaza digital city, we have seen very large events, both organized by institutional ministries, for instance, or institutional clientele, as well as private companies, which are really believing a lot into the boom of the market, hence are supporting it and getting ready for it. When you're talking about what will be different tomorrow compared to today, so beside the fact that the crowds will grow with the limitations being removed, you also have a different kind of MICE business that will come, because within MICE, we have to make sure that the eye is being used. And for instance, meetings and conferences were already very much present in KSA, but the incentive, not that much. Now, developing the different destinations, like for instance, Alula, or for instance, the coastal opportunities, it will give much more opportunities to develop this kind of incentive business. And coupled with the free visa on arrival for 49 countries, it gives really lots of opportunities and really a very bright future ahead of us. Market strategy that we have for KSA and Bahrain is basically, besides strengthening the historical brand that have been present in the market, as I mentioned, since 1975, so you're talking about the Intercontinental Hotels, Holiday Inn Hotels, Holiday Inn Express, Crown Plaza Hotels, which are very famous brands. We are also making sure we are bringing to the market new brands corresponding to the new kind of clientele, not only within the market, but planning to visit the market. So that's why we are investing a lot in the development of lifestyle brand, like Hotel Indigo, like Kimpton Hotels and Restaurants, like Even Hotels, which will really be perfectly adapted to this new kind of clientele. As I mentioned, we've signed a new Hotel Indigo in Riyadh. More Hotel Indigos are coming. We are also working much more on the resorts element, because up to a few years ago, developing a full resort like it will be outside of KSA will have brought some limitations. Right now it's fully possible. So we are not only renovating the existing estate, but we are bringing some new resort to the portfolio, such as the Six Senses hotels and resort that we have signed in Amala, and many more to come. First of all, definitely the local domestic clientele that has been extremely strong. That's when you're talking about families, families coming to our resort properties, enjoying the outside of the properties or the activities which are proposed. And that has been strong during the pandemic and remains strong post-pandemic. Also, let's not forget business, because many people were talking about business travel being dead. What we see, on the contrary, it's really a bounce back of the business travel, not only domestic, but international as well. And this is really driving lots of occupancies, especially in cities like Riyadh and Jeddah. But last and not least, you see this new international clientele as well, people who want to travel and discover the country. So, for instance, I see many people in Riyadh visiting from Dubai, not only business travelers, but people who start to come for weekends in order to see what's happening in the kingdom and to experience by themselves the transformation of the country. What's changed really before the pandemic and now, in terms of the expectations, I would say two key points have been really highlighted by the clients. First, the cleanliness that we talked about before. IHG Clean Promise has been a great tool that we have used to communicate to our guests about what we do for them in our properties, for them to feel safe and to understand how they are being taken care of and how they can keep on living a normal life in our hotels without being concerned with the pandemic. So the cleanliness has been the first one, and the second, strangely enough, has been breakfast. There has been lots of passionate comments and interest into our breakfast, so we have made sure that we have adapted our breakfast to be what we call an assisted buffet, in order to keep on providing the variety of offering to our clients while keeping them safe, not having multi-touch or not having any element that we can breathe over in order to limit any potential infections. For now, because of the restrictions with the flight so far, what we have seen in our IHG hotels and resorts is that most of the business travel was domestic so far, with a little bit of international business travel as well. And then with the reopening of the flights with Dubai, we see a huge increase of business travelers coming from the UAE as well. Though what you mentioned in terms of the mix between business and leisure, these, for now, those are two different segments which are impacting really different type of hotels. So, for instance, Riyadh, we are driving mostly with business clientele, with a little bit of families during the weekends. When the Eastern Province and the West, we are driving mostly family business at the present time, because the business travelers in the cities has been more limited. Though what we are looking at for the future is to further develop the opportunities of this extension of your stays in the kingdom. As you know, thanks to the spiritual tourism, KSA has been a leader in tourism for years, with millions of pilgrims visiting the holy sites. When you think about this, if you get all those people coming for spiritual visits to extend their stay by a couple of days, you're talking about millions of nights. So definitely there are huge opportunities that the free visa on arrival will enable, as well as the growth of the hotels and the opening of new hotels in secondary cities, such as Al Ula, Al Waj, Umluj, that will support as well this extended tourism. When you're looking at the winter, so you know I live in Riyadh, because over a year and a half ago, nearly 2 years ago already, we opened a headquarters in Riyadh in order to support our partners in the growth coming for 2022-2023. So I can tell you that definitely Riyadh during the winter, with what is called the Riyadh Seasons, which is basically a huge festivals with many activities, will be amazing, with lots of Guinness record being broken again and again, some huge concerts, some huge sports events. Let me mention the Formula One in Jeddah, which is taking place not far away from our Crown Plaza in Jeddah, and the Intercontinental Hotel as well. So all those activities will really support the winter business and will drive very active Q4 and beginning of Q1. When you're talking about the further development, is really working with the STA, so the Saudi Tourism Authority, in order to develop further destination and to tempt, shall I dare to say, the people visiting Saudi not to stop at one city, but to go to other cities, working on this kind of path throughout the country, enabling the guest to discover all the opportunities that KSA offers. And that's where really is the future, and that's why we're working closely with STA on those opportunities.